We're in. We cracked the code. Thank you guys for being patient and for sticking around. I hope if anybody left, that they will find their way back. So, jumping right in, head voice and falsetto for male singers. I specify male singers because most female singers are just more comfortable with their head voice. The pitch of a female's voice is a little bit higher, and just generally the way that our hi, thank you guys for sticking around. A male voice typically, I'm speaking in generalizations because we just have to, is about 2/3 chest voice, 1/3 head voice. A female singer, my voice is about 1/3 chest voice, 2/3 head voice. So just by that ratio, and the size and length of the vocal folds, that explains why male singers are not quite as comfortable in head voice. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what to expect. So we'll talk about how to find head voice function, and I'll review with you quickly exactly what I even mean by head voice or falsetto. We'll practice transitioning into and out of head voice. We'll talk about how to develop your tone and power as well in head voice. And I have some song examples to practice that head voice function. I'm going to put those in the chat right now, because I don't know that I stated a video description with them. So there is one, and then here is another. So quickly, we sing. There you go. Before we start singing, I just want to talk about what do we mean by head voice. It's a little bit confusing because all singing is technically coming out of your head. So, what is the deal with this head voice, chest voice thing? It just comes down to where we feel vibration in our body. So, chest voice, we call it that because we feel this really strong vibration on our chest. So if you say hey, hey, and then you sing in that range, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, you're going to feel really strong vibration in your chest cavity. Your chest is not impacting the sound in any way. The only thing that impacts the sound is within your larynx or voice box and above it. So your chest, it's not like the sound is bouncing off of your chest. It's just that's what we call sympathetic vibration or sympathetic resonance. So it just happens to be vibrating. And back in the day, before we could get a scope and put a camera down someone's throat, we didn't really know exactly how the voice worked. And so that's, when these terms were coined, was before we knew better, I guess. So chest voice, we feel this in our chest. Head voice, ooh. You'll notice if you're in that higher, lighter function that we call head voice or falsetto, ooh. For me, that vibration in my chest disappeared completely. You might still feel a little bit, ooh, but for me, it's totally gone. And you might feel more vibration in your head or your face. Ooh, you're always going to feel vibration in your mouth. Anyways, so at the level of the vocal folds, though, we have a difference as well between your head voice function and your chest voice function. You have these two muscle pairs. You have the muscles within the vocal folds themselves. Those are called your TA or thyroarytenoid muscles. When you're speaking or in chest voice, hey, hey, the muscles within your vocal folds are dominant. They are, you know, mostly responsible for making that sound. When you're up in head voice, whoo, whoo, there's the completely different pair of muscles, your cricothyroid or CT muscles for short. Their job is to pull down the larynx so that your vocal folds can stretch out longer. And those muscles are dominant when you're in head voice. So the difference between chest voice and head voice, it starts at the vocal folds, different muscle function. We feel a difference in the resonance or vibration in our body, and then it also sounds different. So chest voice has this very speaking voicey, vibrant, loud sound. Head voice might sound a little bit more hollow, a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit breathy, if we haven't trained strength in head voice. And really quickly, the difference between head voice and falsetto, it just comes down to the amount of vocal fold closure. So a falsetto sound is going to be light and airy, ooh, ooh, whereas head voice, ooh, ooh, I just have more vocal fold closure, but that's still not chest voice. Hey, hey, that's chest voice. So you can think of head voice as the bigger umbrella, falsetto as just one kind of type of head voice under the head voice umbrella. Okay, so very, very important that we know what range we should be singing in for head voice. Everyone's going to be singing the same range today. You know, normally I say high voices with me, low voices an octave lower, something like that. But today we're all going to be together. So we're going to start around. Actually, before I even play anything on the piano, just go like this for me. Give me a high pitched woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! If you are doing that and you're not going woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! If you're finding that high light kind of Mickey Mouse sound, woo-hoo! Or siren sound, woo! Then you have found your head voice function. Easy as that. Finding your head voice function is easy. It's a little bit more tricky once we add pitches, but finding that woo-hoo is fine. Try a cuckoo clock sound. That's another favorite of mine. Cuckoo, cuckoo. You want a nice hollow sound? Cuckoo. Not a cuckoo. Cuckoo. Burgundy Burger is asking, are you worried about being too nasal or not nasal enough? No, I'm not worried about that at all right now. Not at all. And then also another thing that this person mentioned, you talk in chest voice, but head voice has more vibration in your head and you want to mix. Yeah, we're not even touching on mix today, but you are correct. All right. So once we found that woo-hoo or cuckoo, let's see if we can add some pitches. So the range that I mentioned before, the range that most people or most male singers, I should get more specific, will start transitioning to head voice would be around this A4. So if you go to sing that note, cuckoo, woo-hoo, right? We're not down here. Everyone's at the same pitch. Woo-hoo! Most of us can easily find head voice on that pitch. If I choose a lower pitch for us, like if I choose, let's say, D4, woo-hoo, we can still find head voice function down there, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because we typically are using chest voice still in that range. So when you're finding your head voice function, it's helpful to know what pitch should I start with. So I would say, in general, start at A4. That's just a nice kind of set point for you. Woo-hoo! Okay, so we're going to take this for a walk. Can you sing for me? Cuckoo. So that's A, F sharp. We are not going for strength or volume right now. We want that nice hollow light sound. And the thing that most beginning singers do is they just try to push up chest voice. They try to go cuckoo. That's not what we're going for here. Really light, really floaty. Those vocal folds are stretching out, decompressing. Cuckoo. How's it feeling? Let me know in the comments if this feels okay. We're going to go up a half step. That's B flat G. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Again, as light, as hollow as possible. That's going to help our larynx to relax. If I go for a nice hollow sound, cuckoo, as opposed to cuckoo, cuckoo. Good, that's B, G sharp. Nick is on board. Try another. This is C, A. Cuckoo. Again, so far we are only in head voice. We're not touching chest voice or mix or anything. We're just getting comfortable in head voice. Come back down, B, G sharp. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. B flat G. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Good. I often tell beginning students it might be psychologically uncomfortable to be in head voice, but it should not be physically uncomfortable. If you are squeezing and straining and pushing for that sound, goo, goo, not good. That's why I'm saying relax, be okay with it being light, breathy, airy, weak. That's totally fine. That's a better way to build. It's more stable ground to build from. Um, all right, here we are. A F sharp again. Coo 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 coo. A flat F. Coo 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 coo. You could keep going lower if you want. G E. Coo 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 coo. Some folks might feel that their voice wants to transition into chest voice again on the bottom, like right here. G flat, E flat, coo coo. You might be going coo coo, or you might even just feel chest voice or mix kind of taking over entirely, coo coo, and that's okay. So if that C was not high enough for you, you can keep going. Coo coo, coo coo, coo coo. Okay, so whether it's the cuckoo clock sound, the woo woo, or an E vowel is also usually pretty nice. So a wee. The most important thing, biggest takeaway is use whatever sound feels the best to you and is easiest. I really don't care about what it sounds like so much. Like, if you don't love the sound of your head voice today, I'm okay with that. If it's comfortable though, and if it's relatively easy for you, that's what's most important to me. Um, so especially if you're not used to singing in head voice and it's just new territory, then of course you're not going to really be comfortable with the sound. Anyways, okay, moving on. So let's now go from head voice into chest voice. So we're going to do a descending octave deep. So this is A4 to A3. We're going to find head voice and then find chest voice. We're going to say, whoo, hey. All right, head voice, chest voice. And here's where a lot of beginning singers struggle. They want to jump down 2 octaves instead of just 1. They'll go, whoo. They'll jump 2 octaves. So find just this 1 octave jump. And if you need to, use tuner.ninja or another chromatic tuner to make sure you're singing A4, A3, not A2. Okay? Just double check if you're unsure. All right, we're going whoo, hey. This is the next step in our journey. Find head voice, then find chest voice. This is A to A. Woo, hey. Try it on the A flat. And again. Woo, hey. Try it on the G. And again. Woo, hey. Walk back up A flat. Again. Woo, hey. And A. Again. Woo, hey. Now, if you're really struggling with this, you are not alone. I have so many beginning singers who really, really struggle to find that head voice and then find chest voice and to only jump 1 octave. Keep going B flat to B flat. Woo, hey. Woo, hey. Try the B. And go. Woo, hey. Try the C. Woo, hey. Good. Next step is to add some pitches in between. Can you sing for me? Here's where it gets tricky. So we're working eventually on transitioning into and out of head voice seamlessly. But right now, today, if this is something new for you, you might be experiencing a lot of cracks and vocal confusion. So when we go to sing, coo, 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 your voice might be like, what? Especially for those middle pitches. So I'm going to give you the pitches. This is A, E, C sharp, A. Start in head voice. If you land still in head voice, that's okay, but you should be landing back in chest voice. Coo, 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 coo. All right. Try it this time. Try it up a half step, starting on B flat. Coo, 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 coo. And go. Try 2 more, starting on B. And sing. And starting on C. Sing. Good. All right. Now we're going to go top, down, top again. Coo, 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 coo. Gradually, my friends, we're getting to the point where we start in chest voice and then we transition to head voice. That's harder than starting in head voice and finding chest voice, in my experience. Experienced singers, you can weigh in the chat, but I find that most beginning male singers, they find it a lot easier to find head voice and then find chest voice rather than the opposite. All right, so we're going coo, 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 coo. Starting on C. Here you go. And walking down. I'll play the pattern first so you can just hear it, and then you can sing the second time through. And sing. If coo, coo, coo does not work for you, try a different syllable. Another good syllable to try would be something semi-dopey, like wah, 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 or mum, 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 mum. So your larynx stays nice and relaxed, and it's easier to flip into head voice. Here you go. Try it this time if you didn't that time. And last one, starting on A, listen first. And go. All right, now we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going to start in chest voice. Ba, 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 ba. And this is where the rubber meets the road. So if you've been doing good so far, you might find this next one a little bit more challenging. The reason it's challenging is because your voice naturally doesn't really like switching gears. You know, you start in chest voice, ba, and your voice kind of wants to stay there. Ba, 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 ba. But for male singers in particular, you cannot fully chest voice that high A. There has to be some sort of mix or transition to head voice. So that's where we're starting. All right, give this a try for me on something slightly dopey. So it could be ba ba ba, ma ma ma, wah wah wah, something like that. Make sure that you are starting on this pitch, not this one. So that's the difference between A3 and A2. The reason I don't want you starting on A2 is because that won't take us into that head voice range. Let me make it a little bit easier on us. Let's start. No. I'll stick with my guns. Okay, start on A3. There's our pattern. So our pattern before was ba 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 ba. We've just flipped it on its head now. Ba 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 ba. Let your voice flip into head voice. Don't worry about keeping it strong the whole time. Here you go. Singing on something slightly dopey. Whoa, 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 whoa. If your voice is cracking, that's okay. Starting on B flat now. Whoa, 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 whoa. Try that one again if it didn't go so great. Starting on the B. And remember, I'm sound like a broken record, but you are singing what I'm playing on piano. You're not down here. One more. Whoa, 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 whoa. Again. Nice job. Let's challenge ourselves even more with a slide. So let's start. I'll start us a little bit lower this time. Start on this E. So we're going to slide on a narrow vowel. We're going to go ooh. I can't sing quite that low. That's like very, very bottom of my range. But we're sliding E3 to E4 and back down to E3. We're using a narrow vowel because narrow vowels lend themselves well to head voice. There's a reason we're not going because we're trying to find head voice. Ooh, on the top there. Okay, so E to E and back down again. If you prefer singing on an E vowel, E, that's fine. But I would say either oo or E, those are going to be your best bet. Here we go. Sliding, don't just jump. And as Burgundy Burger was saying before, our eventual goal is blending chest voice into head voice via a mix. A slide is a great way to start working toward that. So if we just jump around, ooh, 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 there's no blending. Ooh. If I'm sliding, even if there's little cracks like you heard on the way down, I'm starting to build that coordination or this smooth handoff between my chest voice muscles and my head voice muscles. So even if you crack, still go for the slide. And what I want you to be thinking as you sing this is chest voice and then aim to find head voice on the top. Ooh. Even if you don't get to head voice, even if it's somewhere in between, ooh, that's okay. All right, here we are. So this is F sharp to F sharp. We're sliding as much as possible, really slow. G to G. I can feel that my slide on the way up is smoother than the slide on the way down. But again, I'm not avoiding those spots where I might experience a little voice crack, because if I avoid those spots, they'll never figure themselves out. All right, here we are. Ooh. Try on E if you haven't. E. That E vowel is better for me to blend on the way down. Here you go. E. And last one, C to C. E. Hard work. Okay, I want to mention something first before we continue. If you have not done much singing through a straw, I highly recommend like the lip trill, but even more. So the benefits of the lip trill are that it gives us back pressure. It helps your vocal folds basically come together with less of the demands of having to hold back all that air, because now the straw or your lips, if you're doing a lip trill, is helping out. Anyways, if this slide for you or any of these exercises are a big struggle, try singing through the straw So essentially, you'll just sing an ooh, but through the straw. You can make sure first that you are doing it correctly by grabbing a cup of water, submerging the straw in the water, and then make sound. What you're looking for is sound and bubbles at the same time. If all you're getting are bubbles, then you're just blowing air through the straw. If all you're getting is sound but no bubbles, then you're just humming. You're not actually singing through the straw, moving air through the straw. So, again, what you want is sound and bubbles at the same time. That can be a really, really helpful tool, especially if you're struggling to either find that head voice placement or get in and out of it. The straw can help you out. Okay, moving on. So we found our head voice coordination. We're going back and forth between head voice and chest voice. We're starting to work on that blend or smooth transition. Now let's talk about developing our tone and developing power in head voice. So again, super important that at the very beginning of this training, you're using whatever's easy for you, whatever works. So let's say your favorite vowel for head voice is that E vowel. E. Then we can start shaping our tone and building power by moving from whatever vowel you like, so let's say E in this case, to another vowel that naturally brings in a little bit more energy. So listen to the difference between E and A, both in head voice. Let's again kind of reset on that A4. I'm not trying to push any more volume. That's just the vowel. Or moving from E to A. Again, I'm not pushing at all, but that's just the how vowels work is they'll give some feedback to our vocal folds. So you can hear that the tone goes from a little bit more breathy on the E to when I kind of find that nice strong my vocal folds are doing a better job holding back the air. The tone is a little bit, it's a little nasally, you could argue, but it's stronger than the E vowel. So let's try that. Let's move from either E or oo to a vowel that naturally has a little bit more energy, a little bit more volume to it. See if you can find that with me. Let's try E to A. Again on this A4. Nice. Try a half step lower. Try oo to Again. Cool. So the reason I'm starting with the vowel that you find easy is so that we don't grab at that note. The reason I'm not going straight to, just sing on this big open vowel like ah or ah. I don't want to use the word danger, but the danger in that is that you'll just grab and try to go for that pitch and chest voice. And if our goal is to strengthen head voice, we want to start in head voice. All right, back to that A. Try oo to again, or try oo to ah. So naturally, just that vowel is giving me more chord compression. I'm not trying to do that. It's just happening naturally. And the way that the vocal tract is shaped, we're also boosting higher frequencies, so that the sound is more energetic. It sounds louder. Oo to ah. So once you feel comfortable, you can get even more kind of bite or energy by singing on exercises that either encourage a slightly higher larynx, like a nay, 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 or na, na, na. So an example of that would be singing nay, 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 or na, 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 na. But again, still I'm coming at it from head voice. I'm not going nay, 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 and coming at it from my chest voice. So still, I'm thinking head voice. Ooh, nay, 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 na, 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 na. Another thing you can try is a syllable with consonants on it. So a gug, 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 or bub, bub, bub. So, whatever you find works best for you, start with a sound like that. So, either the kind of bratty nay or na, or something with consonants on it, and then move toward a more finished, beautiful sound. So, the example would be if I'm going from nay, nay. Okay, I've found power, but I don't really like the tone. Nay. Better tone just by changing the vowel. Or if I like the consonant, if I'm going gig, 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 and I'm like, okay, that's a stronger sound, but how do I make it sound better? Gig, gig. Maybe I'll back off of the chord compression a little bit. So think of these as just training wheels, tools that you use, and then you work toward a more finished sound. Let me know if this is making sense. Um, Kind of throwing a lot at you. Let's take a look at some of these songs, and then actually we're going to move to Q&A pretty soon. So this will be just slightly shorter than our normal live lessons, since I made you guys wait at the beginning there. So that first link that I sent, and here I'll put it again. Go there with me. Take a look, see if you are familiar with any of these tunes. Benny and the Jets, I'm sure most of us are familiar with. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Michael Jackson. Ooh, Feel It Still, Portugal the Man. That's a great one. Bon Iver, oh, he's known for his use of falsetto or head voice. Um, so that would be a good one too. Mika as well. Bee Gees. There's a lot of Bee Gees on this list because that ha 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 that sound is kind of iconic. Sam Smith also shows up on this list. Ed Sheeran shows up on this list. Justin Timberlake. So you're going to see some repeat people. Jason Derulo, Shawn Mendes, another Sam Smith. So while I am not going to sing these songs for copyright reasons, you are welcome to look those up, use them as extra inspiration and head voice practice. The second list, you might see some familiar names on there as well. Let me see if any jump out to me. Again, we've got Bee Gees, Marvin Gaye, Prince, Sam Smith again, Childish Gambino, Beach Boys, of course. Michael Jackson is going to come up again. The Lion Sleeps Tonight, of course. Okay. So, how to work on this, because there's sometimes a bit of a gap between your ability to sing in head voice within an exercise and your ability to use head voice in the songs that you sing. So kind of the way to link those two together would be to drop the lyrics when you start working on the song and use the syllable or vowel that you find easiest. So I'm trying to think of a an example that is not copyrighted to sing for you. If anyone can think of one, I would appreciate it. So let's say, okay, let's just say I'm singing a Christmas song. Let's say I'm singing Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and I want it to be in head voice, but I'm having a hard time with that. I would drop those lyrics entirely and I would sing on coo, 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 coo. And I would stay on that for days, maybe even weeks. If I'm really, really struggling, I would use that helpful syllable for quite a while until I'm comfy. And then I would go back to lyrics. What I've done with students before also is we'll roll right into the lyrics from the helpful syllable. So we'll go coo, 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 sleep in heavenly, so that they don't have a chance to get into a different mode per se. All right, my friends, you can start getting your questions in if you have stuck around and you've got questions either on head voice, falsetto, or anything else. Go ahead and put those into the live chat. Um, I'm going to do a little searching, see if I missed anything. I don't think so. Although, one thing that does come to mind as we are talking about applying this to our song work is this concept of vowel modification. So I'm going to drop a link right there. That's a beginner's guide to vowel modification. And if you scroll down there with me, you'll see I talk about oo and e being head voice friendly vowels. So good for head voice, good for a lighter tone. And let's say let's say the lyric that you're singing is not a head voice friendly vowel, you might consider modifying that vowel to make it easier to sing. An example, uh, an example from E, I see your question. I will get to that very, very soon. Um, would be in When the Party's Over. Ba, ba, leaving, leaving. So some singers might find it easier to sing leaving, leaving, a true E vowel, leaving. Some people might find it easier to keep it a little bit more open. Um, Anyways, check out that blog post for some examples. E is asking biggest differences between head voice and falsetto, especially mixing and blending the two on a run. So, E, the biggest difference is the amount of chord closure, which in turn will affect the amount of air that's passing through your vocal folds. So, if we have strong chord closure, good amount of muscle, ooh, not a lot of extra air is passing through. If I have less cord closure, less muscle, ooh, we can hear that extra air leaking through the vocal folds. And I say leaking, but we do that on purpose sometimes, right? So I would say, ooh, if we're combining the two in a riff or run, it's probably going to be easiest to start with more closure, ooh, and then end with a little bit less closure. Um, I find that personally, going from airy to strong much harder. Ooh, it can be done, but it's easier and it feels more natural. Ooh, to just um, let go of that compression rather than add. Does that make sense? If you can give me an example of a riff, I can maybe demonstrate that for you. Uh, Lucas, that's okay. Don't worry about it. This will be up. So all of these live lessons stay on the channel. Those without copyright infringements. Um, it'll still be on the channel. E, does that make sense? Another thing that comes to mind when we're talking about head voice or falsetto and vowels are how the vowel that you sing will impact the tone and the strength of the sound. Um, Whitney Houston, I Believe in You and Me ending. I'm going to have to. I don't have a way to listen to that. Um, you know what, E? Oh. Lucas did the homework. What homework did I assign? Go ahead, ask questions. Um, I'll have to get back to you on that one because I can't easily listen to that and then do it. But if we have a little bit of time, I'll grab my AirPods. They're over there. Walter is asking, what do you mean by compression? Airflow, tenseness in the abdomen. When I talk about compression, I mean cord compression, the strength with which your vocal folds themselves are coming together. And even more specifically, how long they're staying together each cycle. So are they going, or are they going? Of course, you're not directly in control of that. The way that we control our level of chord compression mainly is thinking about dynamic. So when you think stronger, louder sound, versus quieter, what we've done is we've decreased the amount of compression. Um, but the level of chord compression that you've got is going to impact your airflow. If I have strong compression, I'm not letting a lot of air through the vocal folds. Of course, air is passing through, but not a ton of air. If I am singing quieter, breathier, I'm letting more air through the vocal folds. Um, Nick is saying with the vocal slides, remind me how do you maintain that transition consistently so you don't crack? Um, so Nick, it really, I would say overall, like more long-term strategy, it's going to be through the vowel. So either opening the vowel a little bit or closing the vowel. Um, Yeah, so what Nick is asking is how do you avoid cracking when, let's say, you're going from chest voice into head voice? E, e. So for me, I'm having to open the vowel a little bit. I'm having to drop my jaw. If I don't do that, I'm getting a little crack there. Um, so that's one example. Every singer is going to be a little bit different, but I would say it's a combination of kind of tempering the amount of compression. If you keep you're going to crack. So you kind of have to back off a little bit as you're ascending, but not back off so much that you flip into head voice. Um, yeah. So I would say the vowel and then the dynamic that you're singing with. Okay. Lucas is saying, I'm the shy guy that gets nervous when I sing. So I read and internalized the articles, but will continue to get better. Oh, good. Researched baritone singers and found quite a lot that I like. I'm so glad. Yeah, give it a try, Lucas. So I'm here for you. And Walter, did I answer that question? So it's difficult to say because the vocal instrument is so connected, your breath flow, your vocal folds, and then your vocal tract or the resonant space above your vocal folds. Those are kind of the three components that we think about. But they impact one another. So it's not just an A breath to B chord to C vowel or resonance. Because as we heard, if I change my vowel, that's also going to impact the way that my vocal folds are coming together, which impacts how much breath I'm holding back. Okay, cool. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, chord compression, chord closure, same deal. If you're just tuning in, it's question and answer time. So please get your questions in. I'll be here for a couple more minutes. Okay, so Lucas is saying being a baritone singer, D sharp 2, that's low. That's lower than baritone range. That's into bass range. If we're talking about this, so that's D2, D sharp 2. That is well into bass territory. So a baritone typically probably isn't singing much lower than an A flat 2, maybe a G2. So yeah, I would say, um, and then B2 to A3. I'm not sure if this is head voice, but I can go higher. So Lucas, if you're singing B2 right there to A3, that's still not going to be in your head voice range. You might be experiencing some cracking or instability, especially as you get closer to C4 or middle C right there. Um, but that's still too low to really be in head voice, or it's too low to train head voice there, I should say. You could be in head voice. Ooh, but it's not going to have the energy and the intensity that we want. Um, so typically, whether you're a baritone, a tenor, there are going to be small differences. But when we're talking about contemporary singing, pop music, we think of typically that D4 above middle C. Ba, that's kind of the end of your chest voice. You might feel, Lucas, from that A3 to the D4, you feel a little bit of a lift. We might call that high chest voice. Um, so it starts to feel a little bit different and you're kind of moving toward your mix. Um, but it's still in chest voice territory. E was asking, is Ninja Tuner a mobile app? I actually don't know if it's an app. I just always use the website. And I mention it because you don't have to download something. You can just type in tuner.ninja and then have a chromatic tuner that functions. Um, and I'll usually recommend it whenever uh, you're trying to confirm that you are singing the correct pitches. If you're like, am I in the right octave or am I singing the right pitch? Um, anyways. Oh, good. And Nick was saying tips on alignment and larynx positioning. I think that was last week. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago. Have helped. I'm so glad. And Walter's asking next session on mixed voice. Walter, almost. Let me tell you what is on the books. What is to come. I think the next session is on karaoke singing, actually. Um, And then from there, these will be posted on the channel. I don't think they are yet. Wednesday, October 20th, we're going to be singing diminished and augmented chords. Tuesday, October 26th, Walter, that is when we're going to cover mixed voice again. I already did a live lesson on mix a long time ago, but we're going to revisit it. We'll talk about how to tell if you are more of a shouter or a flipper. So, do you stay in chest voice and then crack? Or do you flip into head voice? And then exercises to help correct those tendencies to bring you into more of that mixed coordination. Talk about vowel modifications to encourage mixing. Wednesday, November 3rd is major scale ear training. Lots of fun stuff. And then Tuesday, November 9th, singing after illness or strain. So those are what I have on the books. But Walter, I would put, where was that? Tuesday, October 26th. That's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific time, mixed voice part 2. But in the meantime, you can check out the other mixed voice lessons. There's a live lesson on mixing here on the channel, and then there's shorter lessons on things related to mix as well. Lucas is saying A3 to G4 is what I call the start of an airy but not uncomfortable. G sharp 4 to F5 is airy but also reachable. F sharp 5 to G5 are the very uncomfortable notes. So that's higher than I think. And let me play those pitches. So F sharp 5 and G5, that is higher than I think you'll ever need to sing, in my opinion. Okay, so with that being said, E3 to A sharp 3 is the range I sing when I'm alone. I like this sound. Others do too. Is this my tessitura? Nice. So I would say probably. Yeah. So the closer that you can get to choosing songs that utilize that range, or even moving the key of songs into a range that utilizes that range or that mostly stays in that range, probably the more you're gonna like that sound. Um, Now that's somewhat narrow, so E3 to A sharp 3. So that's about it's just under a perfect fifth. So you have a hard time finding songs that only stay within that range. But like I said, the more important thing is that the song mostly utilizes that range. It can go higher, it can go lower, but it's kind of floating around that range more than just dipping into it and then sitting up really high. Um, Hope that makes sense. But it sounds like you are well on your way to a wide range to work with. So as you get more comfortable above that, A sharp 3, um, as you get more comfortable there and spend more time there and learn, okay, what syllables are easy for me, what vowels are easier for me, and kind of gradually stretch into that range, then your comfy tessitura is also going to widen. Um, Hi, Chris. All right, my friends. I will stick around for another minute and then I'll let you go because I know we got started a little bit late. Chris is asking what's going on with my life. Well, one thing related to you all, 30-day singer folks, is that I'm working on a level 2 beginner course. So if you've gone through my level 1 course, or the only 30-day course that I have on the website, then you have a whole new 30-day course to look forward to. So that is what is taking a lot of my time and energy right now, which is really fun. And I'm so excited for you guys to see it. Um, all right. I hope this was helpful. Again, big takeaway. Uh, I think the most important takeaway is to use the vowels and syllables or other configurations like singing through a straw. Go ahead, Lucas. Um, Use what is comfortable for you and don't worry so much about what it sounds like, worry more about what it feels like. um, I think a lot of people avoid head voice because they don't like the sound, but if you avoid that, if you avoid head voice, it's not going to magically sound better. You've got to spend time there. So for the time being, what vowel is easiest? Is the woo, or is it a "Hee." Is it a cuckoo clock sound? Is it singing through a straw? Is it singing on a lip trill? Do a little bit of experimentation and then use that as your go-to. Over time, I've seen this time and time again with my private students. Um, Over time, you can expand into other vowels, syllables, singing on words. Um, but in the beginning, just use what's easy for you. It's good. It's not cheating. Um, cool. Okay, nice. Yeah, Lucas, I would say the range to work on would be just expanding from your comfortable tessitura. And the reason I focused on head voice so much is because you've got to be exercising your head voice in order to develop that mix or middle voice range. And the fatal flaw of a lot of beginning singers, especially male singers, is they're only comfortable in chest voice and they just try to push chest voice up and think, oh, if I just muscle through and shout and yell, that I'll eventually expand my range. No, it does not work. You've got to exercise that woo woo head voice, as a way for your vocal folds to stretch out and eventually blend those two voices and find that middle or mix range. Yeah. So Lucas, A3 is still chest voice territory. So A3 all the way up to D4 right here, that's still chest voice. It's high chest voice. And if you are a very, very low voice type, so if you're like true low, low bass, you might find maybe D flat, maybe C is really the top of your chest voice, but it's going to be around there. And then you'll see when you watch the replay, you'll see that we started in head voice most of the time on A4. And then we worked down and we worked up, but we kind of used that as our set point to find head voice function. Um, because that for sure you're gonna be in head voice there. Tenors and high baritones, you will be able to stretch your, kind of chest dominant mix up there too. But, anyways, all right. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you again for your patience and being here. It's really fun to answer your questions live, and I look forward to next week. Again, that will be tips for singing karaoke. So we'll talk about song choice, practicing, dealing with nerves, all that good stuff. All right, I will see ya.